A single line is pressed into wet clay. A single line is pressed into wet clay. It is a simple shape. It is not a picture of a bird. It is not a picture of a river. It is an idea, a number, a promise. This small, deliberate mark is the beginning of everything we call civilization. The story of writing begins not with poetry, but with accounting. Around 3500 BC in Mesopotamia, ancient Sumerians needed to keep track of their goods. They had grain, sheep, jars of oil. Memory was not enough to manage the growing complexity of their cities. So, they began to make marks on clay tablets. A simple drawing of a head of grain next to a set of circles could mean 10 bushels of barley. This system, known as cuneiform, was a powerful tool. For the first time, a record of a transaction was permanent. A debt could not be forgotten. A tax payment could be proven. This changed everything. This new technology created a new kind of power. The people who could read and write these symbols, the scribes, became essential. Imagine a young scribe named Enlil. He spends years learning hundreds of complex symbols. He sits in the temple storehouse, his stylus pressing wedge-shaped marks into a soft clay tablet. A farmer brings 5 goats as a tax offering to the city's god. Enlil carefully records the transaction. The king's official can now see exactly what the temple owns. This record is not a matter of opinion. It is a fact baked hard in the sun. Because of this tablet, the king could manage a larger kingdom and build a more complex society. The early writing systems like Cuneiform and Egyptian hieroglyphs were brilliant, but they were also incredibly difficult to learn. A scribe had to memorize thousands of symbols, each one representing a whole word, a complex idea. This kept literacy in the hands of a small, powerful few. The next great revolution in writing was a radical simplification. It came from traders and travelers along the Mediterranean coast, most notably the Phoenicians. Around 1200 BC, they developed a system where symbols stood for sounds, not things or ideas. This was the first widely used alphabet. Instead of thousands of symbols, a person now only needed to learn around 24. Each symbol represented a single consonant sound. By combining these few symbols, any word could be spelled out. The Greeks later added symbols for vowel sounds, creating the alphabet we know today. Suddenly, the code of writing was much easier to crack. It was no longer the exclusive domain of professional scribes. A merchant could learn to keep his own records. A soldier could write a letter home. Consider Helena, a Greek woman around 400 BC. Unlike her grandmother, who could only wait for a messenger, Helena can read. She recognizes her husband's handwriting. With hope and fear, she slowly sounds out the words. He is alive. He is well. He misses their children. The alphabet unlocked the personal voice. Letters, poems, graffiti, private thoughts. For thousands of years, every book was a unique, handmade object. A monk might spend a year on a single Bible. Books were rare, expensive, and precious. They were chained to desks in libraries. This all changed in the mid-15th century. A German goldsmith named Johannes Gutenberg developed a system of movable type and combined it with a screw press. Around 1455, he used his invention to produce the Gutenberg Bible. This was the birth of the printing press, and it would set the world on fire with ideas. The printing press was a machine for multiplying knowledge. Instead of one copy a year, printers could make hundreds or thousands. The cost of books plummeted. For the first time, knowledge became a mass-produced commodity. Ideas could travel farther and faster than ever before. Let us imagine Thomas, a wool merchant in London in the early 1600s. He is not a scholar or priest, but he reads. He buys a translation of the New Testament by William Tyndale. It is illegal to own, but he reads it in secret. For the first time, he is not hearing through a priest. He reads with his own eyes, in his own language. The words feel direct, personal, powerful. This one book changes his relationship with faith. He begins to question authority. The press fueled the Reformation, the scientific revolution, the Enlightenment, and made governments more accountable. Cheap, plentiful books sparked an explosion in literacy and turned private reading into public change. With the spread of printing, the amount of recorded knowledge began to grow exponentially. Books were no longer just for records or religion. They became the primary vessel for science, philosophy, history. Writing allowed humanity to create a collective memory, a vast external hard drive for our species. A scientist in the 17th century could read a Greek philosopher from 2,000 years earlier. Isaac Newton said, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." He could do this because the giants wrote their thoughts down. This accumulation of knowledge transformed how we understand the world. Science depends on writing. A discovery is not complete until it is published, described so precisely that others can replicate it. Think of Maria, a 19th century student passionate about astronomy. Her access is no longer limited to a local priest or a handful of rare works. She can go to a public library, an institution made possible by abundant printed books. She reads Copernicus, studies Tycho's observations, learns Newton's laws of motion. She is not just learning facts, she is inheriting a legacy of inquiry. The library gives her access to the greatest minds, joining a conversation that spans centuries. Recording, sharing, and building on knowledge changed our relationship with time, enabling specialization, deep expertise, and collaboration on ever more complex problems. Because of shared records, we built the scientific and technological world we live in today. The 20th and 21st centuries have brought about a change in writing as radical as the alphabet or the printing press. The shift is from the physical page to the digital screen. We now write with keyboards and thumbs, not pens or quills. Our words are no longer ink on paper, but pixels on a screen, stored as bits of data on a server. Writing and publishing are instantaneous and global. Anyone with an internet connection can be a publisher, a blogger sharing expertise, a citizen journalist reporting events as they happen. Social media enables constant conversation. Writing is more immediate, collaborative, and integrated into daily life. Consider a young activist named Kenji, living in 2025. He does not print flyers, he creates a social media event. He uses short, powerful sentences and emojis. He posts updates, videos, and articles, building a community of supporters. On the day, hundreds show up, coordinated by digital messages. His posts are a modern form of the political pamphlet, but challenges arise: overwhelming volume, rapid misinformation, and the editable, sometimes erasable, nature of digital text. We began this journey with a single, simple mark pressed into a piece of wet clay. That mark was an anchor for a thought. It was a tool to organize a world too complex for memory alone. From that humble origin, writing has evolved, and with each evolution, it has remade us. Quick montage: clay wedge, alphabet, printing press, glowing smartphone pixel. Enlil built empires on ledgers. Helena felt her husband's presence across war. Thomas found a personal faith. Kenji mobilized a city. Each of these steps was a liberation. Cuneiform freed us from memory's limits. The alphabet freed personal expression. The press freed knowledge from elites. The internet frees publishing from institutions. Each stage built on the last, amplifying writing's power to make thought visible and durable. We now write with algorithms that suggest our next word, and we communicate with emojis that convey emotion without spelling. Is a tweet writing in the same way a novel is? Is an emoji a step forward or back toward picture symbols? These are questions our generation must answer. The tools change, but our need to connect, to remember, and to be understood remains. The journey is far from over. The technology will change, but the power behind it will not. It is the power to share an idea across a room, or across millennia. From a wedge in clay to a pixel on a screen, writing is the simple mark that changes lives.